talk about reflection. A reflection over the x-axis is when we are using a mirror line or a line of reflection, and we are going to flip the image or the pre-image over that line. A couple things to note is that in this case, for this problem, we are reflecting over the x-axis. That is our horizontal axis on the coordinate plane. When we do that, it's as if I were able to take this coordinate plane and fold it in half along this line. So the x-axis would be the fold line, and I'm going to take this shape, A, B, C, D, and flip it over down here to the bottom. So what that is going to look like, let me redraw that so I can move the shape up here, is that it's going to be the mirror image or the flipped image of the original pre-image. So I'm going to start by locating point A, which I started the origin. I move over -1 and go up +4, so this is -1, 4. I'm going to locate point B, which is over 5 and up 4, so that would be 5, 4. I'm going to locate C, which is over 2 and up 2, so 2, 2, and locate D, which is -4, +2. -4, +2. Okay, in order to get the reflection over the x-axis, it's going to remain the same distance from the line. So, for instance, if I look at point A, and I start at the line, we went 1, 2, 3, 4 points up. So that means its reflection is going to be 4 points down. So I'm going to stay on the same line, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my A prime, and that point is -1, -4. So what we should notice here is that the x value stays the same because we reflected across the x-axis. The x value stayed the same. But notice that the y value changed signs. So the y value went from a +4 to a -4. So let's see if that happens with B. So B is 1, 2, 3, 4 units above the line. So the reflection is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 units below the line. And if we look at that coordinate point, it's 5, -4. Again, the x coordinate stayed the same, and the y coordinate changed signs. So for C, it went up 2, so instead I'm going to go down 2, and that is my C prime. So that point is 2, -2. And for my D point, I have up 2, so I'm going to go down 2, is D prime, and that point is -4, -2. So our rule here is that the x coordinate stays the same, but our y coordinate changes the signs. So when I draw this reflected image, it should be the flipped version of the original. So it's a mirror image. Okay, so let's go to the next example. And let's write our rule. Now, the rule is what is always going to happen. So if I start at the coordinate point x, y, that just means the original point. So this is your pre-image point. What happens to the point when I make the image, when I reflect over the x-axis? The x value stays the same, and the y value changes to its opposite. So the x value stays the same, and the y value changes to its opposite. All right, moving right along. If I look at this triangle, this time we're going to reflect over the y-axis. So the y-axis is our vertical axis, and I am going to flip my triangle XYZ over here so that it is a mirror image. This time, instead of going from the x-axis, I'm going to go from the y-axis. So I'm going to go ahead and write my original point. So my point x goes -7, +5. -7, 5. For y, the original point is -2, +8. And for my z, that original point is -6, -6. So, like I said, this time, because it's reflection across the y-axis, I'm going to look at the distance from the y-axis. So if we start at z, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers to the left. So the mirror image would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units to the right is my x prime. So that point is 7, 5. This time, notice how the x value changed, but the y value stayed the same because it was a reflection across the y-axis. So reflection across the y-axis, the y stays the same. When we reflect across the y-axis, the y stays the same, but the x changes signs. So now let's go to y. So the point y was 2 units to the left, so I'm going to do 2 units to the right and write y prime. That becomes +2, +8. Again, the y value stayed the same, but the x value changed signs. And for z, that was 6 units to the left, so I have to go 6 units to the right, is z prime. And that point is 6, -6. I'm going to connect those dots. Sorry, my lines are not very straight. You would definitely want to use a ruler or a straight edge when making that triangle so that it does actually look like a mirror image. And there we go. So our rule, I'm not going to scroll the page down, but I'm going to write the rule right here. For the y-axis reflection is that we start with our original pre-image. And what happens when we go to the image? The x value changes signs, but the y stays the same. Okay, now I told you in class that your homework was to watch this video and I was going to give you a question that you have to know the answer to. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a question and the answer, and you are going to have to write it on a piece of paper when you come into class tomorrow. The question is, what is Ms. Ruffner's favorite color? The answer is blue. Do not tell your classmates. You're the one that watched the video. You're the one that gets the credit.